I loved it. It had everything a great movie should have. It had humor. It was very exciting, very well acted, incredibly well made, big widescreen film, and very powerful. When it gets to the end, boy, woof.
Yeah, I left in tears. I walked out in tears at the end with the Charlottesville footage they incorporated at the end, and yeah, I liked it a lot too. Although I thought about it, there's some logic problems that we can get into in a little bit, but if you can overlook that, it's really, really good. So yeah, I echo your sentiments, with the exception of a few plot logic issues that But
I loved the last image of the American flag, turning into black and white.
Yes,
it was great.
Yeah,
wow. That was amazing, and a really fantastic scene with Harry Belafonte.
Oh yes,
who is describing an atrocity that he had come to encounter in his 60s experiences. Wow, it was fantastic. The lead actor is great in it. What's his name? John Phillip?
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Okay.
John David Washington? Or?
Yeah.
John David?
That's it. That's it. Yep.
John David Washington. He was fantastic. And Adam Driver was very good at it too. It's really a big ensemble cast. The woman playing Angela Davis was terrific. She was beautiful, and oh wow, I was really impressed with it. Best Picture nomination?
I think it's I'm just glad that he was able to secure the financing for something like this.
Yeah.
And I was encouraged because there was quite a few people in the theater. I figured I'd be the only one. I was walking up to the window and nobody's buying the tickets, and I'm like, well, here we go again. I'll be the only one in this. And I walked in, and it was I'd say roughly halfway full.
My theater was packed.
Yeah.
Packed house.
So that was encouraging.
Got a big round of applause at the end of it. And it was really, really, really good. I think it's his best movie in a little while. Probably since 25th Hour. Or maybe Inside Man. I forget which one comes first. But wow.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I agree. It is very good, but like I said, there are. I'm not going to lie to people. There are some internal logic problems that.
What are the logic problems? Because I usually don't look for those things.
Well, they just kind of jumped out at me.
Okay.
A few of them. One of them is how he gets involved with the KKK is through an ad in the paper, and so the KKK is blatantly advertising in the paper, the newspaper. If you're interested, give us a call. So he gives them a call. But then from there on out, they admonish him and say, "We are not the KKK. We are the organization." Well, then why not advertise as the organization in the newspaper as opposed to the KKK?
Oh, I see.
So that was a little bit. I was like, okay, that doesn't quite ring true. And then there's the whole thing about Adam Driver is pretending to be him in real life because obviously he couldn't show up at a KKK meeting because he's black. So they run into this problem about trying to match up the voice and all this. And I'm thinking, after they made the first contact, why didn't they just lay low a couple of weeks and then Adam Driver could pick up the phone and start talking to them and try to get involved, and he could pretend.
He would. That would confuse things. That's true. That for them, for the KKK. So that's true.
So if he had called them, then it would have been simpler, and it would put them in less danger if Adam Driver's character had just picked up the phone and did all the work himself after the main character made the initial contact. So I'm thinking about that, but then that might have been changed for dramatic purposes. I don't know. I also was a little disappointed that the love story just didn't quite take off the way I'd hoped it would. I guess there's so much going on. It's such a busy movie.
It is.
I can forgive it a little bit for that, but I really when they first meet, and you know what I'm talking about, Dean, when they use the song I Believe I'm Falling in Love, that's a terrifically orchestrated sequence and choreographed, and it's the kind of stuff that I just eat up like candy, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love romance, and I love scenes where people meet cute, so to speak, and this was meet cute but in an intelligent way, and I loved it, and I was hoping that would really, but it just didn't quite.
They didn't really quite have the time for it.
No, I think that's part of it, and I'm willing to forgive it for that. So, but those are just
might
a
have
few
been
minor.
Might have been lost in the editing.
That's
maybe.
true.
Who knows?
It's true. And another thing I was very happy to see is that he was reunited with his old-time editor, Barry Brown, who's been cutting his films for so long. That was great. And Terrence Blanchard does the music. Really good musical score, I thought, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot to love about it. I don't want to be that guy who's raining on the parade because those are minor quibbles. Let me stress that. Those are very minor quibbles at what is a really, really tremendous movie. And like I said, I did walk out in tears at the end. So
Yeah. It was really, really great.
Be interesting to see what Stallworth. Because this is obviously based on his experiences. So it'd be interesting if some good interviewer would ask him those questions about the inconsistencies you talked about. Maybe he has an answer for them. I mean, he would have an answer for them better than anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But he was, Spike Lee and Stallworth had been together, like making the media rounds. And he talked about how David Duke called him last week because he was worried about how he was portrayed in the movie. And David Duke tried to tell Stallworth, look, I like Spike Lee. I just saw that trailer, and I'm worried about how I come off in the movie. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure
he's not going to be a hero.
Spike Lee fan. Yeah.
Oh, man. But
great cameo by Alec Baldwin at the beginning, didn't you think?
Yeah.
I thought it was terrific how they worked him in there.
I liked the editing of it. I liked having him do the blah, to prepare himself for being on camera. That was funny, and it was an embarrassment of riches. I thought it was really, really good.
I was talking to Adam about this the other night. There's something. The thing that I really like about Spike Lee, first of all, his visual ingenuity. It's apparent throughout his career. He's just such a strong visualist. And I'm thinking about that scene in Clockers particularly, where he's schooling the kid on how to be questioned by the officers, what story to give. And then all of a sudden, the detective who's schooling him is in the scene with him. As he's going through what he needs to say, and the way that's visualized, and that's where it's remarkable, and that visual ingenuity carries off throughout his entire career. And I like how he's unafraid to make really bold emotional moves.
Yeah,
like the closing of Jungle Fever, where he screams to the camera, hugging the girl, and throwing the ball from one generation to the next at the end of He Got Game. It's the kind of stuff that annoys people that think that they value realism above all else, not realizing that none of the superhero movies they watch aren't realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing I love about Spike Lee is he is one of the few people that can get away with this by populating his films with multiple scenes that do not advance plot. Because normally the first consideration for any filmmaker is, does this help the movie's plot? Does this help drive it forward? Spike Lee will go like 15-minute stretches of just people yakking. But it's invaluable because it gives you a sense of those characters in the world that they populate, and that's the experience of the movie. And when Adam and I were talking the other night, we were talking about how few filmmakers can actually get away with that. Like somebody like Altman can get away with that, and none of the mumblecore people that work nowadays and in the past few years can get away with that because for some reason it seems so aimless when you're improvising every word, and that's when you think, God, you could use a writer in this. But with Spike Lee, it's just the very particular enjoyable personalities of his characters and the actors that play them that come across, and that carries a lot of his movies forward, I think, more than plot.
I agree completely. He's unique. And what are you going to say? He's a unique filmmaker, and this is one of his best, for sure.
Okay, so top three Spike Lee. Top three Spike Lee, Dean.
Well, Do the Right Thing would be number one. I'm a huge, massive fan of Inside Man. I really like that one. And then I would go with, maybe go all the way back to the beginning with, even though it's rough in some places, She's Gotta Have It.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Inside Man and Dog Day Afternoon are a good double feature.
Very good.
And if you I was reminded during an interview the other night with Spike Lee that the pizza delivery guy at Inside Man is the same guy that delivered pizza in Dog Day with the whole Attica thing. They tracked that guy down. Isn't that amazing?
That is.
That really is.
That is.
So Adam, what's your top three?
Top three. Wow. Probably for me, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, and probably He Got Game. I would say that's my top three. And this one falls right below those, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be in my top five.
Yeah, this is in the top five for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's Four Little Girls, 25th Hour, and Summer of Sam, He Got Game. Like kind of they're right together in that. I sure love Summer of Sam. But yeah, an extraordinary filmmaker.
Yeah, he is. He is fantastic. Oh wow. Yep. I'm still coming down from the movie. It got a huge round of applause at the end. Wow.
We didn't get that at the theater. It was just dead silence after the footage of Charlottesville at the end of it. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. I don't think I've heard that much quiet at the end of a movie since the end of Schindler's List. And that's been a long time.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of effect it had on the crowd I was with. So
my crowd was a majority black crowd.
Same here. Same here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they just had a different reaction. There were a couple of white people interspersed, but they were definitely the minority, and it was mostly a black audience. And like I said, they were just totally quiet. It was just nothing. I mean, I was like, wow, this is.
I can understand that reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dean, you saw it on the 1 year anniversary of Charlottesville.
Yeah.
If you saw it today.
Yep. Yeah. Oh boy.
And it's going on again. Yeah, it looks like.
Didn't he delay the release of it to coincide with that anniversary, since he's got the footage at the end? And he also had to delay the release because they had to clear the footage that's at the end of the movie of Charlottesville.
Well, I mean, you said you're glad that he got financing to do something like this, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the new pull of Jordan Peele, who produced it.
Yes.
And you know, interviewers are so clueless. I was reading one interview, and I forget which magazine it was in, but their first question is, why did Jordan Peele come to you for this? And Spike Lee started to answer, and then he said, what the fuck do you mean, why did he come to me? Do you know anything about me? Why wouldn't he choose me to direct this?
Who else would you go to? You know, yeah. He would be the natural one to direct this.
But you know, it's only been a couple of years since he was having to get crowdfunding to get a movie made. It's only been 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's a big change of circumstance for him, and I'm glad, because we need filmmaking voices like that now. I mean, there's nothing against the superhero films and all that stuff. We need that. Everybody needs their candy and their dessert, but we need something like this with some bite that makes us think and reflect on who we are as human beings. And
absolutely,
we're definitely not getting enough of that. And
I think we're starved for that stuff.
We are, and then when it comes along, my second fear is that people won't go see it. That they just don't. That everybody wants to be happy and everybody wants to be comfortable, and they don't want to face any ugly truths of what life in these United States is like. And that's troublesome to me too, because not everything can be happy all the time, and we have to think about things in a serious manner from time to time, and we need stuff like this.
All of that said, there is a lot of humor in the movie.
There is. Yeah.
There is a lot of lightness and humor, so don't think that it's just all heavy. It is heavy, but there's a lot of action and humor in it. It was good.
Yeah. And even at 2 hours and 15 minutes, it didn't feel too long. I'm usually the one complaining about the length of movies these days, but this was a case where I felt like it was warranted. It didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting how his career has gone. That he was a golden boy, particularly after Do the Right Thing. And so you got a new Spike Lee joint, and you knew you were in the hands of a true gifted filmmaker, and the studios, whereas Universal was supporting him in that, and Universal did most of his stuff in the early days. And then he used his capital to do really experimental work, and then I think he kind of fell off the radar of the majors. And then came back with Inside Man and proved that he could still do a studio movie in his own way. So I think his kind of trajectory has mirrored how the studios have felt about, for lack of a better term, like auteur filmmakers from the 80s on into the 90s and beyond. They don't really value those original voices as they once did.
Yeah.
But he can still, with Inside Man, he can still come through with a movie that gives you exactly what studio movies promise, without sacrificing his vision.
Yeah.
And because Inside Man is just filled to the brim with New York attitude, really wonderful characters and a truly suspenseful what the hell's going on plot,
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I like it. I was like, it constantly surprised me, that movie. I thought I knew what it was at first, and then I was proven completely wrong. I love that.
And he knows his film history too, and he incorporates his film history in his movies.
Like in
because
this,
Inside Man, with Birth of a Nation, with this one, right? Doesn't he go into Birth of a Nation in this one?
He does. It is discussed, and of course, Gone with the Wind. It opens up with the famous, dolly up over the injured Southerners in Gone with the Wind, and then it gets into a long discussion that the two leads, the romantic leads, they discuss the then current black film movement that was going on in the 70s with Shaft and Superfly and so forth, and Coffee. So that was all. That was. It was kind of an interesting movie about film, in a way.
Yeah, it was.
It was, God, wow. I'm still shaken about it.